Have you ever found yourself wondering why you can't seem to earn the money that you want? You can't seem to command the visibility, the respect, the movement that you want? Today is going to unlock that for you because we have been conditioned from birth to show up in a very specific way, and it is getting in your way. If you are tired of struggling, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we explore the mindset shifts, energetic upgrades, and practical strategies that support you in becoming the woman who creates what she desires with confidence and clarity. I'm Amy Diamond, and I help high-performing women like you move beyond shame, guilt, and struggle so that you can step into deeper wealth, confidence, and a life that feels delicious inside and out. If you've ever sensed you are meant for more and you're ready to create it, this is your place. It's time to move beyond the vision board, babe, and become the catalyst for true transformation. You're about to step into something really powerful. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. We've had a little bit of a challenge getting today's recording together. Every time my MacBook goes through an update, my GarageBand stops working, and it drives me crazy. And then it takes me like 15 minutes to get it to open up. So if you work at Apple or know somebody who works at Apple, can you somehow pass along that every time an update happens, GarageBand stops working and you're causing me gray hairs? That would be great. Anyway, we are now recording this in a voice memo on my phone, and I'll import it later. And I am trusting that the sound quality is going to be fine. I've still got my microphone, and here we go. So I absolutely had to record this before. I'm actually supposed to be getting like my butt out the door for a run. It's super hot in Calgary the last couple of weeks. It's going to be another hot one today. And so my runs, which used to be sort of either in the evening when I go for my Tuesday runs with the ladies, or sort of during the day after I get a few hours of work done, they've all been pulled to the morning because it's cool in the morning. And it is not basically any time after 10 o'clock. However, I had to record this particular episode. So I think a few episodes ago I mentioned I had another episode that was inspired by the work of Barbara Stanny. I've been just skimming over, or well, not skimming, reading through the pages that are accessible to me through my library app of her book, Sacred Success. And it's interesting. It's an interesting premise. So far, I just started chapter 1. I don't have access to the whole book on the app because I guess our library doesn't carry it. But I love the feature that I can read a portion of a book. It's a great way to kind of see, do you want to read more of the book? The downside is, of course, that if your library doesn't carry the book, you might get started and then you're like, wait, how does this book end? However, we are, I think when this recording comes out, I'm trying to think of my podcasting schedule as I'm sitting here right now, holding my iPad. I think this episode is going to be coming out like right in the middle of the Money Magic workshop that I am hosting this July. If that is the case, I want you to understand that you can join me in the workshop still. So this episode will be coming out on a Wednesday. Our workshop will have started on the Tuesday. But when you sign up to join me inside the workshop, which is free, by the way, you'll also have access to the replays. So if what I'm going to be sharing today really resonates with you and you're like, oh, damn, I wish I had joined that workshop, please don't let that get in the way because you have access to the replays. And I would love to see you in the live trainings tomorrow and Friday because it's going to be a 4-day workshop. I say it's going to be at this point because as I'm recording this to you, if this hasn't become obvious, the workshop is in the future and I am not yet teaching it, but the structure is a 4-day workshop. So I'm tying these two together, okay? Because here's the thing. So the idea for the workshop dropped into my head straight out of the divine and said, Amy, you need to teach about under earning. We need to talk about extended financial scarcity and the impact on manifesting specifically our monetary desires. And we need to teach about the childhood roles, especially of those as a scapegoat child with a narcissistic parent, and these three elements and how they come together and really get in the way of blocking our financial success. So I've been focusing on, again, at this point, I haven't fully written the workshop. I'm writing it out. I have day one almost fully written, and oh my gosh, it's so good. So I've been working on the workshop and putting the frameworks together. But so far, what I have written and thought of has been focused, of course, on the topic of money. Because, well, duh, it's a conversation and a workshop about primarily focusing on under earning and the sort of sub, what's the word? It's not a subcategory, subtitle maybe. Anyway, whatever. The byline for the workshop. So the workshop is called Money Magic, but it's all about high performing women who are tired of scraping for every dollar or fighting for every dollar. For those of you who are entrepreneurs or desire to be entrepreneurs, this workshop is going to be very, very life-changing and powerful for you, especially if you've felt, for those of you who've been building businesses and you're struggling with the very often boom-bust cycle that happens certainly early on in building a business and growing a business. That and they I spoke with a woman one time and she said it's the panic when, if I have a month that doesn't have as big of sales or it's been a stretch before, where the revenue is down, that panic of, oh God, like what's going to happen? What I want to talk about today, though, is actually something that money gives us, and that is something that women have been conditioned. It is not attractive. It is not acceptable. It is not desirable for women to have this thing. Hey, so real quick question for you. Are you on the Insights email list already? And if you are not, what are you waiting for? Folks on my Insights email list get the best of the best from me. They get super secret deals, they get insights and freebies and all kinds of cool stuff delivered straight to their inbox. So if you are not yet on the list, get yourself on there right now. Click the link in the show notes and let's get you signed up so I can help you continue to keep expanding. Because, babe, OMG, the world wants more of you. So let's get you going. Now, before I tell you what the thing is, I want you to understand that money, in the construct of how our world works, is essentially a direct line to this thing. Men are socialized from very young ages that this is something that not only is deserved by them, but expected of them. And when we think about things like machines, we think about forces of nature, we tend to attribute this particular word to them with a masculine energy. We do not attribute this word to feminine things unless we say, oh, it's a feminine version of this, which is somehow always, I don't know, maybe more ethereal, maybe more intangible. it's more seen as like a the feminine embodiment of this is sort of a, I don't want to use the word manipulation, but kind of a spirit of manipulation. And this is how the feminine version of this works. So, what I am talking about is power. One of the things that I talk about it inside Wealthy as Fuck. I've certainly talked about it, I think, on previous podcast episodes, is that building your financial insight, knowledge, wisdom, and wealth is a deeply empowering thing to do. And the heart, of course, like if we were getting into the root of words, the heart of empowerment is power. However, what I had not quite put together until, thank you, Barbara Stanny, for like also having this realization, because she also did not quite have this realization until further into her work, is that there is a paradox of sorts for women, especially women who know that they need to increase their financial awareness, increase their financial, call it literacy or influence. But the paradox is we are aware that when we do this, we also, by its very nature of what we are doing, we are putting power into our hands. Now that sounds lovely, right? That sounds like, Amy, like, why wouldn't we want to have that? Well, most depictions of women who are standing in their power are not great. Now, society is slowly, very, very slowly, it's always a little bit like pokey when it comes to these things. It is starting to adjust a little bit. I think there are more women who have done the work, who have gone through the healing, who have gone through the awareness, who are saying, listen, holding power is not a bad thing. And more importantly, you do not need to deflect, defer, or dismiss your power in order for a man in your life to be okay. And I'm going to say something that's probably unpopular and I probably shouldn't say on the podcast, but it's my podcast. So here we're going to say it anyway. If you have a man in your life, and I will say this particularly as from a romantic standpoint, but even from a umbrella vision that is, perhaps there's a male in your life that has a tremendous amount of influence and you are deferring and dismissing your power in order to protect his ego, right? Protect his standing. I'm gonna tell you straight, maybe that's not someone that you want to have in your life. I believe firmly that like when we are in relationship with someone, there's of course give and take, but that a truly healthy and mutually beneficial relationship should not predicate on the fact that one person has to be more powerful in order for the relationship to work. There should be a balance. It'll be, and so if I look at the relationship with my own husband, there are areas in our shared life where he is more powerful, and there are areas that I am more powerful. There's no animosity about it. My husband doesn't like, do the male version of clutching his pearls. He doesn't get all like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." Like you're going to make more than me, or you're going to talk in that way, or you're going to, I don't know, whatever. Like some version of where I'm standing, embracing and holding my own power. It doesn't shock him. It doesn't scare him. It doesn't cause him to shrink. In fact, it's quite the opposite. He celebrates it. He supports it. He is deeply proud of that element. What we have seen, now this is so funny because I almost said this. What we have seen and what we have been shown is that when a woman is standing in her power in relationship with a man, that she is always overpowering the man, which is ridiculous. Now, all of this to say, okay, This is the quote that I was like, I got to grab my microphone, got to record this before I head out for my run. So this quote is pulled from The Sacred Success from Barbara Stanny. The quote is by a person named Marie Wilson. Don't know who Marie Wilson is. Don't know what the context is from this quote, but this stopped everything for me. And I was like, oh my God, I need to sit down and have a conversation about this. So Marie writes, between the ages of 9 to 15, girls lose who they lose who they want to be, and become what society wants. Now, I'm going to guess that like there's a part of you that's like, yeah, of course, Amy, like we knew this, or there might be just like a oof, ooh, that hits, like I feel that resonance inside. Wait, yeah, wow. But what I want to talk about is the this is going to be a messy revelation, but the revelation that says, Amy, your work is focusing on teaching women about money, helping women adjust in a financially beneficial and overall like life balance way how they see, interact, and move with money. My end goal always in everything that I do, and you'll hear me talk about this a lot inside Wealthy as Fuck, is not just monetary wealth, but a fully wealthy life. And to me, a fully wealthy life is, financial resources that are robust and supportive and overflowing, and also health and a feeling of oneness with your body, and healing some of those long term, for many of us, long term messages about how wrong our body is, or how we got to have a flat stomach or bigger boobs or smaller boobs, or we should be shorter or taller or have more of an ass or less of an ass, or whatever. But like adjusting and healing that space so that we just feel good in our body. We feel at one in our body, that we have healthy, wonderful, supportive relationships, that we feel joyful in our work, that we feel fulfillment in our work, that we are resourced in confidence and the willingness to do difficult things, right? That we are willing to stand in the challenge of work that might be hard, but is still engaging, and is where our curiosity pulls us forward, right? I want to have the full wealth picture for the women in my audience. But as I was reading this quote, I was like, oh my goodness, there's a missing point. There's something that I haven't quite hit on, and I want to just very quickly touch on this, and then I got to go put on my sneaks and get on the trails, okay? Because it's like 8:45, which doesn't seem like it's super late, but like I got to get groceries, I got to hit laundry, I got to do all the things. And isn't that just so funny that like my list of things are traditionally female role items as I'm having a conversation about women in power and our traditional roles of what society wants. So here's the thing. I'm gonna talk about this quote, and pepper it in with a little bit of my own experience. So again, just to remind you, it says between the ages of 9 to 15, girls lose who they lose who they want to be, and they become what society wants. So I have had for longer than I can possibly name, and it took me a long ass time to understand that this has been a desire that I've had since way before I could name it. I've had the desire, the internal, um, it's almost like a knowing. I don't know how exactly to explain it, but this internal just like pull from deep inside my heart that said I really want to be a multimillionaire. Now, it took me like as an adult, even like starting as a teenager and then moving into adulthood, I was looking at this from a purely logical and sort of surface level kind of thing. Like, well, if I have lots of money, if I have seven figures, if I have eight figures, then it means that there's a number of different factors at play. Now, I was measuring those factors in the traditional male-centric ways that we have been taught and understand and mostly see modeled in the world. I knew that in order for that to happen, I probably was being very impactful in my work, which sounded very exciting to me. It meant that I had like basically any kind of opportunity that came forward, I'd have the freedom to make the decision. Do I want to go on that vacation? Do I want to buy that car? Do I want to buy that house? Do I want to, help, I don't know, my siblings or my cousins or my nieces or my nephews in some way financially if they need it, right? Like the freedom and the ability to influence the um the ability to succeed in my life and the lives of others, that sounded really lovely to me. My loves, we are days away from the Money Magic Workshop going live. This amazing, powerful, truly life altering workshop is sponsored by Mugging Whales Coffee, and it is for women who are tired of fighting for every friggin' dollar all over the damn world. If you are just like, you're putting in the effort, you're putting in all the work, you've been doing the manifestations, you've been like standing on your head trying to have money come into your life, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Oh my goodness, get your sweet little buns into this workshop. It's completely free to join me inside Money Magic. And we're going to actually begin to like queue up and start the transformation that is going to get you unlocking the money that you desire to earn. Because I'm here to tell you, you're not doing it wrong. It's not that like you're broken or you're doing something funky or anything like that. It is actually a few core underlying things that are, they go deeper than belief work. They go deeper than manifestation clarity. They go deeper than affirmations. But until you understand what they are, you cannot begin to address them. So join me inside the Money Magic Workshop so that we can finally get you earning the money that you deserve, that you desire, that you have known for so long has been meant to be yours all along. All right? I want to see you in there. Get inside the Money Magic Workshop. The URL is in the show notes. But this also stood in direct conflict with, well, the only women who are, multimillionaires are fucking ball busters. They're greedy as hell because, of course, rich people are greedy, and they're destined to be alone because no man wants to be with a woman who makes way more money than him. Spoiler alert, that's complete hogwash. Okay. I adore my husband and his family for so many reasons, but one of my favorite things is, so one of his brothers was married to a woman that also was like extremely successful in her work, and he lovingly said, I'm okay with, I'd love to get to the point of just being a house husband. I think I'd be okay with this. I think I'd be really great at it, actually. There's no concern in the men in this family that their masculinity, that their sense of who they are is somehow going to be undermined by having a partner who makes far more money than they are. In fact, they're all like, that sounds all right. All right, cool. I could like totally be the supportive spouse, and like I'll leave my job and handle all these other things, especially if she's happy and she's making the money that she wants. Like that sounds awesome. So, but I will say I was 29 before I met my husband, and it's taken me 10 years at least to like start to recalibrate the inner things that were okay. And my job in tech was really helpful for this because I remember very distinctly, I remember exactly where I was standing the day that I knew I was getting promoted, that I knew that my salary was going to increase, and I knew that that salary amount was more than what my husband was making. And he was my boyfriend at the time. We weren't married. And I remember standing at the end of the island. My husband was sitting on the couch. And I said to him, when I take this promotion, I will be making more than you. I'm still going to take the promotion, but I just want to double check. Do you have any issue with that? Because if you do, let's start working through that now. So notice that I wasn't saying I won't take the promotion, I won't take the raise if it makes you uncomfortable. I was very clear in my boundary to say, I'm still taking this. However, I also understand that you have grown up in a world that has very strong conditioning that the man is the earner, right? And that this can be very difficult um, on pair bonded relationships. So anyway, coming back to this this quote, one of the things that's been percolating and slowly cracking open for me is understanding that I've had this desire for this tremendous financial affluence since long before I could have ever told you how I'd get it, what it would look like, how it would feel. It's just the best way I can describe it is that it's just always been there. But when I probably was around the age of 8 or 9, things started to shift. Now, when I was young, okay, so like pre 8, pre 9, so I'm talking like 5, 6, 7, very likely. I have vague recollections of sharing my dreams, sharing my internal wants with people around me, and I have vague recollections of being shut down hard or being like, "Oh, Amy, that's so cute, but like you're a bit naive. That's not how the world works." Now, that happened way before I was aware really of what was happening. And in the last, I don't know, handful of years, that has started to come to pass to say, just a minute, there's some old messaging that needs to be just seen, witnessed, and let go of in order for you to get where you're going. Now, this is the heart of the work that I do with my clients. And just like a sweet little, like, what's the word I'm looking for? A little food for thought, I guess, is that at the end of the Money Magic workshop, I am opening up enrollment into a very special container called Money Magic Mastery. And inside that container, we are going to be doing the deep healing work where we are addressing some of these long-standing things. Okay. So if you're like, Amy, how did you get there? We're going to walk through all of that and I'll guide you how to do all of that. And we're going to, and I know I'm not supposed to say it this way, but we're going to figure it out together because the unlock for you may look different than the unlock for me. But the good news for both of us is that that's what I'm very, very good at. So yay us. Okay, so I had this desire from when I was quite young. You have desires from when you were quite young. They have likely been tugging on your heartstrings. Maybe they float across your conscious awareness every now and again, and you may have dismissed them. You may have stories around them that say, "Well, good girls don't do that. Women can't have that." If I wanted to have that desire truly, then I would have to give up something. And that's because you've been conditioned to believe that that's the way the world works. From 9 to 15, girls lose who they are, they lose who they want to be, and they become what society wants. We understand from a very young age that a girl standing in her power is dangerous. That is what we are led to believe. Understanding that having financial empowerment, financial literacy, and most importantly, financial resources that you independently get to create, move, and continue to build, that is power. And power in the hands of women is seen as dangerous, unattractive, and wrong. Now, consciously, you're probably going, yeah, but Amy, we know that's bullshit. Totally get you. 100% on the same page as you. Absolutely, it's bullshit. That does not mean that that programming isn't still inside of us. Because what we learned during our very, very formative years was that our job as women was not to hold our power in a way that was balanced and fair and loving, while also being overflowing in abundance financially, in a wealth way, in a romantic way, we learned that our job is the support. Our job is to stand behind the men and cheer them on. Our job is to take care of the groceries, do the laundry, make sure the kids get to all of their, sports and activities and things. Make sure that our husbands know where their keys are. you know, Keep everything together, keep the whole unit moving. And if there's any time or energy left over, oh, we should probably also go have careers. That's what we learned. So somehow, I'm not sure how it's going to come into the workshop. We will likely feather it in somehow in the workshop, but we're absolutely going to be talking about this inside the Magic Money container. But part of what the work is that you and I need to do together is recalibrating your understanding of what power looks like, feels like, and how it shows up in your life, and how the people around you are going to respond to this. I'm going to end today with a little example, okay? My dad's an Aries. If you know Aries people, they can be quite abrupt. What makes me giggle is my dad is an Aries and my mother-in-law is an Aries, and some things I can see the similarities, and others they're complete opposites. So I'm very aware that like elements of my dad are very much my dad, okay? But just so you know, Aries tend to be quite hot-headed, very like very determined. But my dad, I think he's amazing. I love him to bits, but he can be very what's the word? How do I want to describe it? Like an emotion will flash through. He'll get angry and he'll lash out, but then the minute that that's done, he moves on. The challenge is that like the person on the receiving end doesn't. The person on the receiving end just got like an almost mortal blow, and they're like, what the fuck just happened? And he moves on like everything's fine. Now this is something that I think he's aware of, or becoming more aware of. However, he's a very strong personality. He's very driven. It's from him that I learned and have embodied the very, very crucial ability to withstand risk, to go after big dreams, to be willing to do the hard things. However, having conversations or in any way, shape, or form standing in my power, I knew at first subconsciously, then consciously, that if I did so, I was going to be coming right up against a very strong, very powerful person. And that there was a good chance that, as someone who learned from an early age that power was his right, that power was just how he moves through the world, as someone who's learning to embrace their power and learning to fully embody it, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to go learn how to box, and how about I just get in the ring with Mike Tyson, right? To kind of give you an idea. What I have been, what changed the game for me and has been so deeply powerful for my relationship with my dad was the realization that, okay, yes, he's a very, strong personality. Yes, he has very powerful opinions and can be quite, I want a word that's different than power, quite, I don't know, it'll come to me. I'll just say like very, very strong in his overall demeanor. And also, because he is that way, I bet you that he won't just like fold like a deck of cards if I stand in my own power. Now, I want it to look different. I want it to show up differently in terms of how I stand in my power. But the moments that I've had, and I've had a handful of them now, less than a handful, a few, um, with my dad, where I've I've in my own way, in a intentional, well-spoken, grounded way, even while the insides of me were like kind of shaking a little bit, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I have had conversations and I've shared reflections with him and held up the mirror at times that have basically called in and said, this behavior is not okay. This, whatever story that you've been perpetuating isn't helpful. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but the most important thing is what happened in those moments was that I learned it's completely okay and safe for me to hold my own power. It is even more okay and safe for me to do it in a way that feels true and real and in integrity for me. So I'm not lashing out. I'm not responding from like reactive emotion. I am moving in intention with the vision of here's where I'm moving towards. This is why I'm having this difficult conversation. And I can hold his feet to the fire a little bit until I see the click. Now, this doesn't sound like much, but for for women in particular, this is a very, very, very integral and important part of building our financial literacy, our financial efficacy, and our financial impact. Because this piece, this being able to embody our own power and stand in it, hold it, and move it with intention and clarity, it comes in all kinds of situations. If you work with a financial advisor, it'll come up into that. If you need to go to the bank for any kind of funding, right? You're getting a mortgage, you're getting a loan, you're wanting to do like a business loan or something. Like to have that power that's just embodied and you've figured out how to hold it, stand in it, and move it confidently and consciously, that's really, really big. When it comes to building your wealth, right? Even making your own investment decisions, having conversations in your relationship with your spouse or your partner about money, buying a car, I don't know, hell, like going shopping. Just even if you have kids, like how you move in your conversations and your interactions with your children as it relates to their wants, desires versus their needs, and their, continual asks for, something more, or like another product or another, I don't know, we want this new t-shirt, we want these concert tickets, whatever it is. Understanding and learning how to deeply embrace and embody our power from a place of really grounded embodiment is enormous, and it will build our overall wealth picture, for certainly when it comes to finances, but that will percolate off into all the other areas of your life. So all that to say that I really would love to see you inside the Money Magic workshop. Like I said, I believe when this recording is coming out that we have already had our day one. If you're hearing this at the beginning of the day when this episode drops, we have day two is coming up this afternoon. You can get the replays when you register for the workshop. You have to register for the workshop in order for me to send you the link of like where we're actually going to be meeting. So join me inside the workshop because it's going to shift a lot of like kind of like interesting paradigms that you've been holding on to and probably didn't know that you were holding on to. Yeah, if this episode has resonated with you, I would love for like, first of all, I say this every time, and honest to goodness, if it resonated with you, reach out to me in some way. Send me a DM on Instagram. I don't know, find a way to email me. Like, just let me know that, like, Amy, this episode was really great. I really loved how you spoke about blah, 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 blah. If you haven't yet left a review of the podcast, that would be super helpful. And if you feel so led, I'd love it if you share this episode with people in your world. Okay. So we can get more of this into the hands of more amazing people like you. I look forward to seeing you inside the Money Magic Workshop. And if you aren't yet on the Insights email list, come join me on the email list. Folks that are on my Insights list get first crack to all kinds of really cool things. I do not spam the hell out of your inbox because Lord knows I'm figuring out how to navigate my own, constantly overflowing, it seems, inbox. Make sure that I'm always very respectful of what I send out to you. So anyway, but my Insights list gets some pretty awesome opportunities that take a long time before they percolate out into the world of other people. So there you go. My loves, I'm going to go grab my sneakers. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. It's time to go get onto the trails and get my run. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode, my love. If you loved what you heard today, I'd be so grateful if you left a review and shared it with someone ready for more. For additional love and inspiration, find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at XOAmyDiamond, or visit the links in the show notes. I'm already excited to connect in the next episode, and I'm cooking up something really juicy for you. Until then, I'm sending you all my love, and I'm reminding you, you're already awesome. It's time to let your brilliance shine.